Hello, my name is Lino Tadros, and in this video I'll show you how to manipulate properties like images inside of widgets in Sitefinity. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, let me go ahead and bring up Visual Studio here really quickly. I don't have any controls or models or views, so let's go ahead and create a quick widget. There are other videos in the library that shows you how to do that, but I'm going to go ahead and create real fast one in here. So that is the folder that I'm in right now. We'll say SF for the Sitefinity CLI, and we'll say add, and we'll say widget, and then we'll give it a name. We'll call it, for instance, image prop. Okay, you can call it anything you want, of course. We'll push enter. We'll accept the name. We'll say yes, use the image prop, and it created everything I needed right there. Perfect. Let's go ahead and overwrite everything in here. We'll save the project as well. So now when I open up the MVC, notice on the controller, oops, it did not show up. Let me go ahead and show you all files. See that the button in the Solution Explorer, show all files. So right now I need to bring it in. It actually created it, but sometimes you'll notice it did not include it in the project itself. So I'm going to right click on it. We'll say include in project. Same thing with the model. I'm going to need to bring in the model as well, include in the project. And of course, for the views, I need to bring in the folder for the entire image prop itself. Let's go ahead and open up the image prop controller. As usual, we're inheriting from controller and iPersonalizable. You'll see the registration for the name, the title, and which section we're going to be putting that in. So, and also the CLI or the VSIX in Sitefinity itself will always create a property, just a hello world called message, for you to start playing around with as well. What I really want is to actually remove this property in here and create my own automatic property. But I'd like to see if there is something in Sitefinity that will help me create an image that the system will know how to create, for instance, in the widget editor or the designer, how to create an image selector automatically without me having to write all the code for that in the designer. So the way to do that, we'll say public, and the type is called MixedContextContent. And if you put the cursor over it, you'll be able to see that this comes from using Progress Sitefinity Render Entities Contents. Let's add that. Alrighty, and then I can actually give it whatever name I want. So what exactly is the property that I'm going to be interested in at this point? So we'll call it, for instance, images. Okay. And again, we will do the automatic getter and setter. We'll say get and set, and we're good to go. So how do I tell the system, because this mixed content context in here could be a lot of things. It could be images, could be pages, it could be documents, it could be tags, it could be whatever, right? So I need to decorate that with a specific attribute. Let me go ahead and put an attribute in here, and that attribute is called content. And inside of the content attribute, I need to say the type is equal to, and hopefully there's something called known content types. There it is. If I put a dot in here, notice I'm telling now the designer what type of the content of the known content types that we have. Is it tags, images, news pages? All of them will be available in here right there. Okay. In my case, I want it to be images. And that's pretty much will save you hundreds of lines of code of JavaScript and for JavaScript injection to be able to create the selector and all that stuff. Just having that property in here. Even if I run my project right now, even though I'm not doing anything with it on the in the view, but if I actually click on edit on my controller, on my widget itself, automatically there will be an image selector working correctly, and I'll be able to save it to the database without writing any other code. This will do the whole job right inside of there. The next part will probably be the model. If I open up the model in here, of course I don't have a message of a string anymore, but this message, maybe I'm gonna focus on which part of the image do I need to send from my controller into my view through the model. So if you think about it, the view will only need to have the URL of what that image is inside of the database. So let's create a string in here called image URL, okay? And I'm gonna leave it as a getter and setter. And that's about it. That's the part that will be passed from one to the other. Excellent. Let me go back actually into the controller and let me fix this part. I'm gonna say, I would like to change this message, the model, inside of my index action result. And I know it's gonna be image URL. There it is. But I wanna find out what exactly is it that I'm gonna make it equal to. Remember, I have images in here. So I'm going to say this dot images, but is a little bit more work to be done in here. First of all, the image that you chose in the designer is known only by its GUID. It's the 128-bit number available in the database that represent the record for that specific image, for instance, that you chose. So there is a little bit more work to be done right before this line. So we're gonna push a couple of lines down and let's see what we have to do to make this happen. All right, so first of all, you have to remember that everything in Sitefinity is based on a manager, like the page managers, the news manager, and even the images that are part of the library manager. So I'm gonna create a new variable here. We'll call it library manager. You can call it anything you want, of course. And I'm gonna go ahead and get into the library manager.get manager. And you notice also even I have Copilot installed, so it actually knows how to get it automatically, so I can do that. So let me go ahead and push tab in here and it will fill up the line. I usually don't like to have all the stuff in the code, so I'm gonna remove the first part. We'll say Control X in here, and I'm gonna go all the way to the top and we'll add it to the using statement so the code look a little bit better. Sounds good? There we go. So now I'm using the Telerik Sitefinity libraries, and I believe it's under model. Yep, that is the model in here. And now when I say libraries manager dot, it will be able to get us that right away. Or maybe not. Let me see, library manager. Let me put the cursor over it. And okay, it's not the libraries model, it's the Sitefinity modules library. That's okay. We're going to click on that, and I'm going to remove the one that is not correct. That's fine. Alrighty, so now the libraries manager.get manager. That means I have a handle over the entire library manager inside of Sitefinity that is running right now. So the next one would be to be able to use that library manager to go get a specific image coming in from the system. So I'm going to say for, and we'll give it another name. For instance, we'll call it image, and it will be equal to. And look at this line gets created for me automatically by Copilot. Copilot is pretty nice, actually. I'm going to push tab in here. And you'll notice here, I'm going to use the library manager I've created. I'm going to say .get image. And .get image, you will need to give it a GUID, all right? And we'll go into the database using that GUID and being able to find exactly where or get you the entire image object. So the question in here, oh, by the way, GUID here needs to bring in system, I believe. Let me go ahead and bring in system. So I'm going to say I'd like to parse a GUID out of this. So the images at the bottom in here that I've created, this.images dot, and if I do a control space in here, it will show you all the different properties available. The one I'm interested in is called item IDs ordered, okay? And you will notice there is a 0 index in here. Why is there? The reason why there is a 0 index, because you have to understand in Sitefinity, whenever there is an image property, by default, it can hold multiple images for the same property. Same thing when you do it for a dynamic type, or you create a module that has an image in it. By default, out of the box, it's expecting you to have multiple images, okay? That's why I'm telling it in here, I want the first element in the index of all the images inside of that property. So I'm only getting the first one in here. Make sense? So that, of course, will depend on this images in here not being empty. Otherwise, you'll need to put some code before this line as a try catch to make sure you don't run this line if there are no images at all. Otherwise, it's trying to access the first element, and there is. I'm not going to actually write all the try catch, but just remember this line should be in a try catch to make sure if the images is null, that you should not actually be accessing anything inside of it. But I'll keep the code like this for right now, just for you to see the simplest way possible for this to work. All right, so now that I've got the images in here, what do I need to do in here, if you think about it? And I want to remind you that the model is expecting a string that has the image URL itself. So in reality, this line in here should be the image variable that we just created, dot, and I'm hoping to see something in here out of almost 80 different properties that will actually get me the URL. And in Sitefinity, it's called media URL, okay? So that's the name of the property. And at this point, I'm in pretty good shape. You see, I was able to attach myself to the library manager, and I would like to get the image based on whatever you selected inside of the designer. So from this point here on line 26, I do actually have the image that you selected, and I'm going to get you only one property of it, which is the media URL that I can use in the view. That's what being passed into the view. So now my image URL is filled in and we're in good shape. Make sense? Let me save all that. So the only thing left for me probably is to go to the image property view, index.cs.html, and of course there is nothing called message in here. So I need to go ahead and say model dot, what did we call it? Image URL, I believe, yep. I will say, and notice there is a red line in there, and be patient. It will take a few seconds until the Razor syntax compiler kicks in, and then this will go away. So that's going to be a good thing. So be patient with that as well. But in reality, I don't want this as a string. I would like to use it inside of my own HTML tag. So maybe if I go in here and say img source equal, and then, oops, source equal, there you go. And inside of the source equal in here, I can actually put that inside of there. That would probably be a lot more useful for me to say whatever URL came in, I want that to be the image source. So I can definitely, and of course after that you can actually do the width equals and height equal to manage the size of the image that you're bringing in. All the stuff will be just fine. Does that make sense? All right, while we're here as well, I'm just gonna do the width. Otherwise it would be huge. It would be, let's say 200 pixel, and we'll say the height as well is equal to 200 pixel. All right, did we do this correctly? Yes, I think we're done. And then don't forget, of course, to close the image. And right, I'm gonna say save all. Alrighty, so from that point on, am I ready to compile and see if this guy works? Alrighty, so remember, the mixed content context is the secret in here to save you so much time and code to be able to get a selector and a designer for images. And also the model will be very simple, will be the string that you're interested in to be passed to the view. And then finally, you can get to it by the model.image URL in here. What's the name? We call it image URL. Yes, it's all lowercase, so this will work just fine. All right, let me go ahead and compile and run this and see if it will work fine for us. Yeah, we do not want to debug for right now. Let's go ahead and wait for it to run. All right, it compiled, and now we'll go to pages again, and we'll go ahead and open up one of our MVC pages. There it is, and let's see if this one will work. We collapse the content, open up the custom widgets, and there it is. There is my image prop. Let me see if it will work. I'm going to put it right under the content block in here. Now when I click on the edit, look what happens. Oh, look at that. I didn't write any code for that. The only thing is I have a public property in the controller itself that is called images, and it's of type mixed content context. And I just told it in the attribute that the content is of type images, and automatically you get all the stuff for free. Isn't that awesome? Now let's go ahead and click on the plus sign. Let's see if I have something in the library. Oh, there it is. My Lino TV will say use selected and will say save. I didn't write any of that code. All the stuff will be gone into the database of Sitefinity automatically just based on that one property that I've created. Now when I get back, notice there is an image in here. That's the view, okay? And the reason why you don't see the image right now is because I didn't publish yet. That means the cache inside of Chrome is taking care of that. But if I publish, I will break the cache and it will work, I promise. Let's go ahead and say publish in there. And then when we go backwards in there, let's click on this guy. And now we'll take us back to the pages. If I view the page in real time, that of course would have broken the cache, and I should see the Lino TV 200 by 200 pixels. There it is. There is the page containing the Lino.tv. So if I close this guy back again and I open up the home MVC, and there it is. That's because the cache has been broken already. So again, just a fast way to show you that you can actually create this in the widget designer with only one line of code in the property. And also if you'd like to use that image, it's a couple of lines. Just remember the items ID ordered. Why do we have the 0 in there as the index? Because the default is having multiple images. And that hopefully will be simple enough to understand how to use images in designers and in views inside of Sitefinity. Hopefully that was useful to you, and I will see you soon in another video from Lino TV. Thank you.